Good, let's get rid of that. All right. Oh yeah, I haven't logged onto the iPad. Right, so I'll do that in just a second. Okay, so welcome. Maybe if you haven't already got your, you might need a few things for tonight's practice. You might want a blanket. You might want a couple of bricks, or if you've got one brick and a cushion or a folded up towel or something like that, that would be a great idea. Or you could use your yoga bolster. So I'm just going to just adjust this a little bit so you can see my mat. So I'd like you to set yourself up with, if you've got two bricks, one on its flat edge, one slightly propped up, your blanket maybe draped over the top. We've done this a couple of times now, so most of you will be familiar with that setup. Or you can prop your bolster up and lie down over that. But basically, I want you in a position where your heart is slightly elevated. So you're going to lie down, and I'd like your heart to be a little bit elevated, your head also to be supported. So this is a great option if you don't have a bolster, but you do have other things around you. Putting something under, so what you could do alternatively is to thickly roll up or fold up your blanket, put it underneath the back of your heart, and then use a couple of cushions for the back of your head so that you are able to lay down like this. Maybe you have your legs out straight, maybe you have your legs crossed, or in a diamond position. It depends what you feel most comfortable with, what you're ready for at this stage in the practice. So I'm going to turn on my iPad so that I can see you all and just check out your lying down position. So take your time. So we're going to spend the next couple of minutes doing some breathing. So Tuesday, here we are. Stop. Good. All right, that looks lovely. Well done, everybody. Okay, so we like this. We want your head to be slightly higher than your heart, but also for your heart to be slightly elevated too, so that you have a sense that you are just allowing the collarbones to open, the shoulders to slide a little bit closer towards the ground. Maybe turn your palms up towards the ceiling, if with the arms a little bit out by your sides, or you could rest your hands onto your tummy if that is a more preferable position for you. All right, so take your time getting settled, but you're all looking, for those of you that I can see, some of you have disappeared into a lying down position. Okay, so we are going to think about directing the breath into the lower part of the chest and the upper part of the diaphragm, or the upper part of the abdomen, I should say. So this is the space where, in between where the ribs end and the navel sits. So it's sort of the middle, if you like, the middle zone. I want you to breathe into there. So that as you breathe in, this space is gently going to expand. And as you breathe out, it's gently going to contract. So breathe in and breathe out. Okay, so I'd like you now that you've settled a little bit, I want you to breathe with your mouth open. We don't often do this, but I'm looking for you to make some sound, a little bit of sound with your breath. And sound is very powerful when we are looking to calm the body, the mind, and the mind down. So I'd like you to breathe in and out through the mouth as though you are fogging up. Imagine there's some glass in front of your face, and you are using your breath to gently fog the glass in front of you. And you can replicate that same sound as you breathe in. So it's a if you like, you can breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. And slowly start to allow your awareness to gently soften so that you become a little bit more calm. You perhaps start to feel as though your body begins to relax a little bit more deeply. Now close your mouth and see if you can replicate that same sound through the nose, please. So you're breathing in and out, still imagining that you are fogging up the glass in front of your face. And if you've had a bit of a long day, or perhaps you're finding it hard to switch off, then a really beautiful, really simple mantra is let go. And you can say the word let on the inhalation and go on the exhalation. And really imagine that as you breathe out, you are letting go. Let go of whatever it is that is stuck inside of you. Whatever it is that you're holding on to that is preventing you from relaxing or from focusing, and just being content with the listening to the inhalation and the exhalation, and staying focused. And it's hard sometimes. Sometimes we drop into this breath awareness with real ease because it welcomes us. It's like coming home. And other times there's so many other things going on around us that we find it hard to connect and to switch. So if it becomes too much to think about all these different things, just take it back to a simple breath awareness and listening maybe to the sound fogging up the glass in front of your face. Just let go. Okay. So take a couple more breaths here. And then if you are quite high, if you're propped up quite high, then take care coming out, maybe bring the chin closer to the chest. I'd like you to bend your knees, and would you all roll over onto your side, please, and pause there. Just lay on your side, let your body settle into a curled position. That's lovely. And maybe recognize how that feels, recognize any changes. And for me personally, just doing that in and around the day, if I feel like I'm like, oh, my mind is going crazy. Even if I can't lie down, then I do stop and breathe and just take 10 breaths and say to myself, let go. And it makes a massive amount of difference. All right. So can you please prop yourself up with your hands and come over onto all fours. Okay. So positioning yourself on your mat. Fingers pointing forwards, hands underneath your shoulders, knees hips width apart. Tuck your toes under. Take an inhalation as you gently lift the tailbone, let the tummy drop, move the heart forwards and lift the chin slightly. Then untuck your toes and press into the tops of your feet as you lift your navel and allow your head to drop, shoulders spreading apart. Breathe in, tucking under the toes and gently lengthening through the front of your body again. And then as you exhale, lengthening through the back of your body, untuck the toes, press the tops of the feet gently into the floor. Long arms. Breathing in, heart moves forwards, toes tuck under, and breathing out. Now, I'd like you to carry on with this movement. You're going to do maybe 5 or 6 more breaths, but I want you to begin to move in a way that makes you feel good. So if you want to do some circles with the hips, if you want to incorporate a little sideways movement, maybe a figure of 8 that you could draw with your tailbone sort of towards the sides of the mat. Maybe you'd like to do some circles with your hips. Okay, so think about your wrists. Be kind to your wrists. Whatever you do, make sure you do both sides. If you're flexing or if you're side bending, whatever it is, make sure you do it equally to both sides of your body. If you're turning circles, do some one way and then do the same amount the other way. Okay, so you're going to take a few more breaths doing this. This looks great. Well done, everybody. Really nice. I want you to really feel at home in your own body and explore movements that feel good. And these all 4 positions, they're just a great way to begin to mobilize into the spine, especially if you had a bit of a sedentary day, if you've been sitting in a chair a lot for whatever reason. All right. So last couple of breaths. If you need to change your direction, do that now. And then come back to your all fours position. Tuck your toes under, take your bottom backwards towards your heels and press the bottom back so the toes get a little bit more of a stretch out. Then think about pressing the palms into the floor, so really anchoring down into the top of the palm, okay? So where the fingers meet the palm itself, think about pressing down into that area so the wrists stay less heavy, and then start to float the knees off of the floor, just an inch or 2, not very far. Keep pressing into the palms really strong. Make the arms long, press the floor away, and then slowly start to lift the sit bones up towards the ceiling. Don't worry about what the heels are doing, just leave them floating in the air, but keep pressing the mat through the top of the palms and let the head hang in between the arms. Think too about taking the outer hips away from the hands, away from the floor. So keep lifting the outer hips, lifting the sitting bones now so the backs of the legs start to feel longer. Thinking about the kneecaps lifting up too. So we're not collapsing through the front of the legs, the front and the back of the legs are lifting. And you might find that the heels want to gravitate towards the floor, it's fine. If they need to, let them press down. If they're away from the floor, let them stay there. But draw the navel in, keep pressing the mat through the palms, And notice the lovely length and strength of your arms. Keep breathing here. Make sure the breath is that same smooth, in and out, as though you're fogging up the glass. You're still breathing through the nose. You're going to take one more lovely breath here. And then float your knees down towards the ground. Untuck your toes and let your bottom come to rest backwards towards your heels, allowing your head to come down. If you need to, put something underneath it, your brick or a blanket. And you can keep letting your arms rest forwards, or you can bring them down around the sides of your ankles if you need to, and let your shoulders curl a little bit more. Very nice. Okay, one more breath here. And on your next inhalation, when it comes, gently float yourself up to an all fours position. And if you have a brick or two, have those near the front of your mat. You might use those in a minute when we forward fold. You can use whatever alternative. If you've only got one, just have the one there too, that's fine. And then come back down into this low position with the arms stretched, the fingers pointing forwards. Exactly the same thing. We're going to come up into downward dog exactly the same way. And I'm wondering if you felt any different because you had made sure that your hands and your arms were long and that you were really driving some force, some energy towards the ground through the palms. And this is key, okay, because downward dog is a triangle shape and there needs to be an equal amount of effort going from the hips, so from the peak of the triangle, down the upper body towards the floor through the hands and the arms, and then down the legs. But the problem is we're stronger normally in one end of the body than the other, so we rely generally on the legs more, and we need to work the upper body and work the mobility and the strength of the shoulders. So if you bear that in mind, have your hands shoulder width apart. So notice my bottom's back on my heels. My arms are fairly long. I'm not down here stretching forwards. I'm slightly up and I've got my hands in quite a nice position, not too far apart from each other. And I haven't overspread my fingers either. So please don't feel that you've got to really create some space. Just a nice open palm is fine. And then from here, think about tucking under the toes first of all. And this will give you a little bit more height. So you can start, I want you to feel as though if you could stretch your mat forwards with your hands, you would be able to do it. So really press into the floor towards the top of the palms. And then just see if the knees float off of the floor almost naturally. Keep pressing into the floor through the arms as though your sort of every bit is dependent upon your arms and your upper body. And keep pressing as you start to unravel the backs of the legs. Keep pressing and let the head hang a little bit, but don't lose that press of the arms, that press of the upper body. Thinking about as you press down into the floor, can you lengthen the arms? Can you lengthen all the way up to the sides of the hips? Can you lift the tailbone? Can you move the thighs back? Lift the kneecaps, lift the front of the thighs. And then if you want to press gently down through the heels, go for it. Maybe think about drawing the navel in towards the spine. Maybe look back towards your toes and keep breathing. Let's come and have a look at you. Stay here, so keep breathing. Let's just see what's going on. Oh, beautiful. Very nice. So really press into the floor through the hands, and the rebound is the length that you get through the arms and the upper body as you move the sit bones towards the ceiling. Good. Okay, now look forwards to where your hands are, please, and gently walk your feet forwards towards your hands to come into a forward fold. Now, keep your feet about hips width apart, all right? So not too close together, not at this stage. Now, if you've got your bricks, you could, if you need to, have them on their end. I'll come this way a bit, you'll be able to see a bit better. So you can have them on their end if you need to, and be in a half forward fold. And in fact, I'd really suggest doing this because it gives you the opportunity to go down, all right? If we start with our hands on the floor, we've got nowhere to go, have we? So if we start with our hands on something fairly high, and then what I want you to do is look at your feet and open up the soles of the feet and think about lifting upwards through the sides of the ankles. And as you lift upwards through the sides of the ankles, can you lift the sit bones a little bit more to the ceiling, but also press the hands into the bricks? And see if you can get as much weight down through the arms as you do through the legs. So your forward fold is equal, okay, just like it was in your downward dog. Can you have the same amount of your body weight going down your legs as into your hands? Okay, so for some of you, this might feel like enough of a forward fold, but if you want to, you could change your bricks onto their mid setting, palms on the bricks, and again, press into the palms, lift the sit bones. Think about lifting the inner thighs, gently activating the inner thigh muscles. Good. And then if you want to go deeper, turn the bricks onto their flat edge. Press into them, press into the palms, press into the feet, and feel like as you press the feet into the floor and the hands, can you slightly lift your heart to the ceiling, the back of your heart? Good. And then for those that want to go further, remember you can stop at any stage. You can take the bricks away, put your hands onto the floor, drop your chin towards your chest now. So make sure that the back of the neck is long. This is everybody. Doesn't matter what height your hands are. Press your palms into the floor. Press all four corners of your feet into the floor. Hold this here. If you want to take your hands closer to your feet or even alongside your feet, go for it. Depends on your flexibility. Just take it easy. Don't force your body. Very nice. One more breath in. You've been here a long time. Your legs are going to feel great from doing this. And then you're going to gently move the bricks and float your knees down. So the knees, I actually would like you to come into a squat position. Okay. So we're going to take a squat. And we did this the other day. So some of you will be familiar with it. If you need to roll up the end of your mat to give your heels a platform to rest on, go for it. You could also use your brick or other prop around the room. Some of you will be comfortable with taking your feet maybe as wide apart as your mat is and gently lowering down into your squat position with your arms on the inside of your knees, and you're lifting your chest. So I've got my palms together in front of my heart. I know this isn't everybody's cup of tea, but if you can get down into a squat, even if it's sort of a half squat, think about keeping your heart lifted and making this lovely length into your back rather than sort of being down here. So I did Joe Wicks this morning, and with him and his wife were doing it. So those of you in the know will know. And she did this for 90 seconds, which is an incredible amount of time. I was very in awe of her. I think we were doing them more like this with a half squat, which is so tough on the quads. So yeah, I couldn't have you guys missing out. So keep some of your body weight into your heels if you can, lifting up the heart, and you're going to take another 2 breaths here. Good. I'm loving all your squat positions. You're doing brilliantly. You're awesome. Well done. And then I would put your hands behind you if you need to come down to sit and to stretch out your legs. Give them a little bit of a shake. Nice. Okay, so according to sort of Jivamukti Yoga, there's one of the founders, Sharon Gannon, is she does something called the Magic 10, and the Magic 10 are 10 different poses that you can do in about 20 minutes. And so the down dog, the forward fold, the squat, they're all part of that, and they're poses that she recommends you do every day, including this one. So look at where your knees are, bend your knees, have your knees and your ankles together, hug your knees with your left hand, take your right hand behind you, and just turn to look over your right shoulder, please. So you're sitting up nice and tall, you're keeping the shoulders fairly level, and breathing. You're going to take another 2 breaths here. All right. Then as you inhale, come back to the center, swap the arms around, take the left hand behind, and as you exhale, turn to look over the left shoulder. And then on the next inhalation, come back to the center, slide the feet away from you. Good. Take the right leg over the top of the left leg and press the left heel away, toes up, ball of the foot. So this left leg is working hard, even though it's straight, even though it's on the floor. Hug the knee with the left hand if you can. Again, take the right hand behind you and turn to look over the shoulder. This time initiating a stretch here in the glutes on the right thigh. Keep breathing. Allow the left leg to be long. Heel away, toes up, ball of the foot pressing. Just breathe in and out. 2 more breaths. And then as you inhale, come back to the center. Unravel the right leg. Scoop in the left. And if you can, cross it over the thigh. Remember, you can always leave the leg out straight. See, this time, if you can keep the big toe joint of the left foot into the floor, hug the knee with the right arm, take the left hand behind you, and as you squeeze the knee towards the chest, keep the right leg active and long, and keep pressing the big toe joint of the left foot into the floor, and breathe. Look over the left shoulder. Okay, take another inhalation, come back to the center, unravel the legs. Good, lean back into the hands. Turn the fingers to point towards the hips. Bend the knees so that the feet are underneath where the knees were on your mat. You can always turn your fingers out a little bit towards the sides if you need to for your wrists. I would like you to come up again so that the hips are lifting and you're strengthening your arms, strengthening your glutes. See if you can stay here for 5 breaths. See if you can find that lovely inhale and exhale. Those that want to can let their head fall back a little bit, but keep the legs really firm, keep the heart lifting, arms long. That's great. Well done. 2 more breaths. Last breath, lift a little higher. Good. And then gently lower down. Fab. Cross the legs, come over. Maybe you've got to shake out your arms and your wrists a little bit. Come over to all fours. Tuck your toes under again, bottom back towards the heels. Press into the mat through the hands. Really get the arms to open and to lengthen, because downward dog is a pressing motion. Open up the backs of the legs. Maybe walk the heels back a little bit further this time. Chin towards the chest. Press into the palms. Lift the sit bones nice and high. And then I'd like you to look forwards and walk your hands towards your feet. And then slowly, with your hands maybe coming up towards your hips, bend your knees a little bit. Inhale to lift your heart and come up to stand. Good. So just lengthen, let the arms hang down by the sides. Close your eyes. Think down to your feet again. So we've mentioned the four corners of the feet a few times already tonight, and now's the first opportunity with the feet firmly pressed on the floor and holding you upright as we come into Tadasana, mountain pose. The feet don't need to be together here, they can be hips width apart. But I want you to have a sense that you are able to let your body weight be really evenly distributed. If you need to find that evenness, then maybe just sway the body weight forwards and then sway it backwards. So you can feel how the change in your body weight using different parts of the foot. And then maybe just sway from side to side. Just subtly waking up. Good. Find the center ground. Press down into the four corners of the feet. Lift the front of the thighs. Lift the sternum, the breastbone. Shoulders down the back of the body. Chin into the face slightly. And the crown of the head lengthening up towards the ceiling. And I want you to settle into this feeling of strength and steadiness. And remind yourself that this too can be accessed anytime, just by taking a pause, pressing pause in your life, standing still, rooting into the earth, and finding that steadiness again. And I don't know about you, but I know I need this at the moment. And so our poses, our yoga practice doesn't have to be complicated, doesn't have to be full of crazy balances or back bends, but just poses that help us to feel steady and certain within ourselves. And standing poses are awesome for that. Okay. So we're going to practice a little bit of Warrior Two now. So gently release Tadasana and turn yourself sideways so that you are standing in the middle of your mat. Okay, stepping your feet apart. Now, there is no prescription for how far apart the feet are, but as your practice develops, the feet should become wider and wider. You're going to go towards the right first of all, so turn your right toes out to point to the end of your mat and turn the left toes in slightly, okay? Now think about your body being upright, okay? So I know the hips have changed slightly, but the shoulders stay level and the spine stays long and straight. Put your hands on your hips just to remind you of this. And then start to bend your right knee and just see where it goes. But don't let your upper body lean because you're not striving to be anywhere. And try not to curl it back either. So stay nice and upright and check out where your right knee is. It needs to be above your ankle. It can be a little bit behind it, that's fine, but not in front of it, that's not fine. If you're back here and nothing much is happening, you don't feel enough's going on, wiggle your foot a little bit further away from you. Okay, so when you're here, shoulders nice and steady, heart lifted, think about the front thigh turning out as though you're trying to tuck your sit bone underneath you. And at the same time, I want you to press into the outside edge of the back foot. And I want you to lift the inner ankle up higher. So lift the inner left ankle. Keep the right leg bent, keep scooping the sit bone underneath, and then take the arms up to shoulder height and look down the right fingertips into the distance and hold your steady here. So this is just another form of Tadasana. All the standing poses are just developments on from Tadasana. So think about your steadiness, your stability here, your beautifully strong legs working hard. Breathing in and breathing out. And you find that quality to your breath while you're here. Good. Beautifully done. And then let's slowly bring the hands back towards your hips and straighten the front leg, turning the toes forwards. Good, okay. Other side. So left toes turn out, right toes turn slightly in. Make sure your feet are decent distance apart. And remember, the two sides of your body might not be the same, so you might experience the pose differently on this side. So look at your left knee and just check at where it travels when you bend it. It should be pointing to the middle toes rather than the big toe or the baby toe side of the foot. See if you can keep it traveling in that nice straight line. Okay, keep it above the ankle or just behind it. And then think about your back foot. Okay, so the back foot, outside edge of the foot should be pressed into the floor. But you don't want to allow the ankle to roll in or this leg to be floppy. This leg needs to work just as hard as this left leg. So lift up the inner edge, this side of your ankle. So really feel like you are kind of making that leg even longer and straighter. Scoop your left sit bone underneath you. You should be feeling this, you should be working. And then the arms coming up, looking down the left fingertips, but past the fingertips into the distance with that steadiness and the focus on your gaze. Slightly scooping the tailbone underneath you so you feel the front of the body growing strong, legs working hard here, breathing in that lovely quality to the breath. Good job, one more breath here, you've got this. Good, and then let's bring the hands to the hips, straighten the front leg, turn the toes forwards, and we'll heel toe the feet in and give the legs a little bit of a shake out. Good, how are you all doing? Are you all okay? Legs all right? Yeah? Fabulous. Okay, can you take a hold of your brick and just have it to the right hand edge of your mat, please? So you're back into the middle and find Tadasana, find mountain pose, and find that steadiness as you press into the earth, but you lift up and close your eyes and think about the four corners of your feet. So big toe joint, baby toe, outer edges of the heels. But it's not about pressing down necessarily. It's about, can you rebound your body away from the floor and feel the sides of the ankles lifting, feel the kneecaps lifting, front of the body lifting. So there's an energy within this pose. It's not just you standing still to attention like a soldier. I want you to feel that you can work into the earth and create that upward prana, that lift up of your energy as you play with the apana, downward movement of energy. Okay. So then opening your eyes and putting your hands onto your hips again and stepping your feet apart, maybe not as wide as they were before. We're going to take triangle pose, Trikonasana. Okay, so another nice strong standing pose for the legs, but we've got a little bit more work going on in the upper body. So if you've got a shoulder injury, just take care, maybe rest the hands onto the side of your body should you need to. Turn your right toes out, turn the back toes in. This time, more awareness on alignment. So I want the heel of your right foot to be in a straight line with the instep of the back foot. Okay, so you'll all know this. You've done this so many times, it will be fairly straightforward. Okay, so we've got the right toes pointing away. And what I want you to do is tilt the pelvis. Okay, and this leg, again, this back leg is not all floppy, it's actually working. So I want you to, as you tilt towards the front leg, and you can feel maybe the inner thigh working, feel like you're lifting upwards all the way up through the front of the legs, just like you did in Downward Dog, but pressing into the outside edge of the back foot and lifting the inner ankle away from the floor. So this leg too feels then it's starting to lengthen up. And you're tilting, but not so, you're not trying to collapse, you're not into a crunch here like this. You're trying to maintain this lovely length and get the movement into the hips so the sides of the waist stay the same. Then you can find your brick and you can put it on the inside of your leg, put your palm on it, and you can leave your left hand onto the side of your body, or you can take your hand up towards the ceiling and look up towards your thumb. Some of you might not want to use your brick. You could just rest your hand and float it in front of the ankle and really work the length of the arms as though you're trying to touch your ceiling with your left fingers and almost touching the floor, but not quite, with the right fingers. Don't forget about the legs. Keep breathing, working into the legs, working to lift the inner ankles. Think about the right big toe joint and press it into the floor. One more breath. Good job. Let's look down. Take an inhalation, float back upright, and exhale, lower the arms. Good. Turn the toes forwards. Take your brick with you to the other end of your mat. Fab. Okay, so same start position. Turning the left toes out, turning the right toes in. Strong legs, okay? So outside edge of the right foot, inside ankle, lifting up. Pressing down into the floor through the big toe joint of the left foot, but so that you can then lengthen the inner thigh, feeling that lovely stretch. Tilting the hips, feeling the movement happening from there and that inner thigh work getting stronger, and then slowly starting to release the arm down, finding your brick, putting the hand on it if you need it. If you don't have a brick, the hand will be onto the shin, that's fine. Try not to if you're very flexible in your knee joint, try not to overbend or hyperextend into the knee. Little tiny micro bend into the knee joint is pretty good here. Pressing into the big toe joint, remember, letting the arms float down, maybe the right arm lifts up, and as the arm lifts up, get more and more height, even though you're anchored right down into the feet. Sides of the waist staying fairly long, looking upwards towards the thumb if you can, and breathing. Find that lovely steady breaths in and out. That's great. One more breath. And then let's look down. Let's take an inhalation and float back up to upright. Turn the toes forwards, hands to hips, and step the feet back together. And find mountain pose again. Maybe close the eyes. Breathe. Press that pause button again. Remembering within the pause, within the stillness of the pause, there's still the activity of the mountain. Pressing down but lifting upwards. Tailbone long, shoulder blades down. Good. Okay. So we'll gently release Tadasana. And we're going to come back into our wide-legged position. But this time we're going to forward fold. So if you want to have a brick in front of you, if you find that that would be, or a cushion or something, whatever you're using, you could use that to make your floor a little bit higher. We're going to take the feet nice and wide apart, Prasrita Padottanasana, so a wide-legged forward fold. And so you need to have your feet wider than they were for triangle pose. Okay, so the wider your feet are, I find that there is more ability to tilt your pelvis. To enable that to happen just a little bit more, I want you to turn your toes in slightly. So the heels are slightly out, okay? Good. Then the hands come here where the hip creases are, because that's where you want to lead with. You're not rounding to come down. The front body stays nice and long, and you are tilting the front of the pelvis forwards to lift the sit bones and the tailbone up behind you. And then eventually maybe dropping your hands down towards your brick, or towards the floor. And those of you that want to go further down into it, you can maybe walk your hands back in between your feet, elbows bending, head coming down low, and just lengthening, lifting sit bones. Thinking about here too, pressing into the outer edge of the feet, but lifting the inner ankles, lifting the kneecaps. Thinking about the sitting bones moving away from each other and turning the upper thighs in, internally rotated. Good. Chin to chest a little bit more, let the head hang, it's okay, give it permission. Very nice. And then maybe just coming up slightly. So this is where you could use your brick again if you want to. We'll take a little bit of a twist here. Don't mind which way you go, but leave one hand underneath your face. Breathe in, take the other arm up to the ceiling and turn to look towards the thumb that's in the air. Breathe out to gently release. Find that lovely smooth Ujjayi breath, that sound, that ha quality. Breathing in as you come up, pausing, not being in any hurry. Breathing out to gently lower that down. Go side to side at your own pace. Breathing in, taking that little bit of a pause, lifting the inner ankles. Breathing out. Good, keep going, side to side. That's nice, well done. Do one more on each side, please. Love it, slow it down, go slow, you're not in any hurry. Breath should be slow. Fab. Okay, come back down so that both hands are on the floor. Let the upper body hang a little bit closer to the ground. Maybe use your brick if you want to rest your head down if it doesn't touch the floor. Allow your body to soften. Well done. Good job. And then we will come up to about halfway, so hands underneath the shoulders. Heel toe your feet a little bit closer in together. And then bending the knees, hands to hips, inhale, lift your heart to come up to stand. And then you can step your feet back together and find mountain pose again. Closing the eyes and breathing. That's lovely. Okay, so before we come down to the mat to finish, we'll take one more standing pose and we'll take a little bit of tree pose. So just another one for really working on our steadiness now that we've cultivated all this lovely strength and stamina in the legs. But now can we do it when we're on one leg? So I would like you, if you've got one, you could use a brick. Some of you are very near to furniture in your room, so you could use the seat of your chair, your sofa, because they're a great thing to put your, if you imagine that's a seat of a chair, or if it's up higher, all the better, really. So you could utilize the props in the room around you, or just be near a wall if you've got a little bit of, if you're feeling a little bit wobbly tonight. Okay, so you are going to choose a leg to stand on. I've put the brick here. I mean, you could use it, but you don't have to. If you're familiar with Vrksasana, then you can go for it without. So I would like you to maybe just put your hands on your hips. Choose whichever leg you're going to stand on first. And take your body weight into that one. And remember, it's Tadasana, but on one leg. So the only thing that's going to change really is the leg, the floating leg, maybe the arms. So hands stay on the hips to remind you to stay balanced. And then lift up onto the toes so you can turn the knee out to the side. And maybe just rest the heel onto the onto the side of the foot or the top of the foot, whatever feels good. Think about opening up across the front of the hips. And if you want to go a little bit higher, you can rest your foot onto your inner calf. And if you want to go higher still, think about bringing the knee up high before you maybe reach for the ankle, she says, wobbling a bit, and putting it onto the inner upper thigh above the knee. Now press as much into the thigh through the heel and as you do through the thigh into the foot. Think about the arms. They can go wherever you need them to be. Some people like them in the front of the heart. Some people might want to express themselves upright, opening themselves, gesturing, maybe palms together above your head. Wherever feels good for you, just find your steadiness. Don't worry about the screen. Don't worry about what I'm doing. Just find your breath. Find something to focus on in the room you're in and breathe. Good. One more breath. And then let's gently release, bringing the knee forwards to drop the leg down and give your standing leg a little bit of a shake. Okay, other side. So let's make sure that we've got Tadasana happening on what will be the standing leg. A nice spread out foot, all four corners of the feet engaged, lifting up through both sides of the ankles. And there's this movement, there's this intention for you to move upwards, just like trees do. They want to move up towards the sun, towards the light. That's where we're going too. We want to move upwards. Taking your body weight into the standing leg, turning the knee out to the side, because that's the movement we want to initiate. We want to open the knee out wide. And then you can adjust your foot position as you want to. So find a place that works for you, hands wherever you want them to be, and breathe. Very nice, everybody. So don't worry if you feel a bit wobbly at the moment. These are wobbly times that we're in. Whilst we want to use our yoga practice to help find some steadiness and some centeredness, it's still a challenge, okay? So if you're a bit all over the place at the moment, it's okay. It's what I would expect. We can use our breathing practices and the yoga as a whole to create some steadiness and some stillness for ourselves. Okay, so take another breath. You're doing brilliantly. Well done. Good. And then let's bring the knee forwards to lower the leg. Good, and shake it out. Well done. Good job, everybody. Okay, so then what I'd like you to do now is come to sit, please. Okay, so we're going to do some seated yoga poses, and we're basically going to repeat the pose that we've just done. So we're going to do Janu Sirsasana, but as a seated forward fold. If you want to sit on something, if that helps you to fold forwards to tilt your pelvis, or if it supports any aches in the lower back or sciatic pain, sit on your blanket, sit on a cushion, whatever you've got to hand, okay? We'll start with the right leg. Oh, by the way, you could use a strap if you want to around the foot if you need a bit of extra help reaching. I want you to untuck the flesh of your bottom so you find your sit bones to sit on, and they're going to keep you lovely and grounded. And then gather in your right knee, take it out wide to the side, bringing the sole of the foot to the upper inner thigh. So you can see how this is a repeat, isn't it, of tree pose of Vrksasana. We are going to face towards the long end of the mat and bring the arms up towards the ceiling, reaching up, lengthening the sides of the waist. Now lower the arms to shoulder height. Just take the pressure out of the shoulder region and think about tilting the pelvis. So tilt, tilt, tilt. Let the sit bones point out, the tailbone points out behind. If you can, you lower your hands to the floor. You could hold on to the front of the leg. Some of you might be able to reach the foot. You could wrap the hands, link the fingers behind the foot to hold you there. Some people, if you're very flexible, might like to hold onto the right wrist with the left hand and gently lengthen the right hand side of the body some more. However, wherever you get to, just lift away from your leg for the moment. Breathe in, put space in the belly, and then breathe out, aiming to bring the heart further along the leg. Chin comes towards the chest. The eyes might like to close. And you're not necessarily straining or really forcing your body into this forward fold. But remember, forward folds are about surrender, okay? They're about giving in to the earth, giving into the resistances. And they're challenging, they're super hard because our hamstrings are tight, the pelvis doesn't like tilting forwards. They're a workout in and of themselves. So just breathe in and out. Use that same lovely breath that's held you upright, that's carried you through all those beautiful standing poses where you found that strength and steadiness. And now can you bring in some softness and some release and some stretch. Beautiful. Take another breath in and out here. Good. And then let's inhale our way up so that we're in an upright position. Now you're going to keep your legs in this lovely place, but I want you to bring yourself over to the left-hand side of your yoga mat. Bring your right knee back up. So this will be familiar because we've been here already. Take your right foot over the top of your left thigh and then hug your knee with your left arm. If you want, you could bring your left heel in towards your body, but do make sure that you remain seated evenly on your sit bones. You can bring your right hand behind you. You can take your elbow to the outside of your knee and use that to turn you into a deeper rotation as you look over your right shoulder for Ardha Matsyendrasana. 4 or 5 breaths here. Just find some steadiness. Keep rotating the spine. And as you breathe in, let the breath travel up the spine. And as you breathe out, let the body turn a little bit deeper into your rotation. Turn the rib cage. Turn the heart. Press the right big toe joint into the floor as you anchor the right sit bone into the ground. Good job. Breathing in and returning back to the center and spinning to the left and just taking a little reverse turn before returning to face forwards, releasing the left leg and bringing the right leg back into your Janu Sirsasana position. Okay, so I want you to make sure that your right knee can stay on your mat. So if it's rolling off onto the floor, I want you to just scooch over a little bit more. And you're going to put your right hand onto the floor behind you. We're going to do this next move 3 times. We're going to come up as we inhale, down as we exhale. As we come up, you're going to roll onto the inside edge of your left foot. The left leg is going to stay straight, but the hips are going to lift up and you're sending the hips forwards and maybe the left arm lifts up into a little bit of a back bend or at least a heart opener. Exhale gently to come down. So if you didn't do it that time, carry on doing this with me. We'll do it 3 more times. So breathing in, chest lifts, hips forwards, head back a little bit. Breathe out to gently come down. Good, 1 more time, breathing in. And out. Lovely. Okay, come back to face forwards and you can slide your right leg away from you and return yourself back to Janushirasana. Left leg in, left knee out wide. Remember that you could use your brick to support the knee. So if you find your knee is really high up in the air, not necessarily supporting the knee, but thinking about into the hip. If you need something underneath there to support the joints, that's fine. Make sure you're up on your sit bones and that your right leg is nice and long. And you're working the back of the knee towards the ground. So I mean, I can fit my whole hand underneath my knee. I'm not looking for you to completely turn your leg inside out, but just think about the energy of the leg pressing down, not just the heel, not just the sit bone, but the whole length of the leg pressing into the floor, heel away, toes high. Breathe in, arms come up and reach up towards the ceiling. Keep pressing the back of the right leg into the ground. Lower the arms forwards and reach forwards as you breathe out. Pause here, okay? Breathe in. As you breathe out, see if you can get your heart even further along your leg. Good. One more time, breathe in. As you breathe out, reach even further. Good. And then find your foot, find your leg, use your strap, and become a little bit softer as the chin falls towards the chest and the crown of the head moves towards the toes. And you can use a little bit of your upper body strength, use a little bit of the arms to keep lengthening, making sure both sides of the waist are working evenly here. The sit bones are moving backwards and the tailbone's pointing to the end of the mat behind you. Back of the knee pressing into the floor, navel towards the spine, chin towards the chest. And if you need to, think about kind of moving the heart, you breathe the belly in and you lift up a little bit and see if you can just take the heart the extra millimeter along the front of the leg. This is lovely. Well done, everyone. Okay, so let's take a little inhalation and walk the hands gently back and sit up nice and tall. Good. Bring the left knee in and cross it over the front of the leg, the right leg. And if you want to, you bring the right heel in, but that's optional. You can leave the right leg straight if you need to protect your knee. Now keep working this big toe joint into the floor and at the same time pressing the left hip into the ground. You're hugging the knee with the right arm, with the left hand moving behind you, and just making sure that you've got space to breathe and you're able to rotate nicely. Keep pressing the left big toe joint into the floor, taking the elbow to the outside of the knee, looking for a deeper rotation. And remember, the rotation happens from the navel up. And that's why we keep the sit bones grounded, because we don't want the pelvis to move. We don't want to be tilted here. We want the stability from this central part of the pose. And we want to allow the body to twist around so we can find the release into the thoracic spine. And we can find space as we breathe. So breathe in and up. Keep lifting the body away from the floor. And as you breathe out, keep turning around to look over a little bit further into the distance. Lovely. One more breath here. That's superb. So let's inhale, bring yourself gently back to the center and turn the other way briefly to release the twist. And come back to center. Straighten out the right leg. Good. And bring the left leg back into your Janushirasana position, but scooch over to the right edge of your mat so that you've got space for your left knee to come onto the ground. Left hand's going to come behind you slightly. You can leave your right hand onto your hip, but that makes your body a little bit heavier. So it's actually better to kind of reach up and to lift up with your right arm, okay? So position your left hand where you're comfortable, roll onto the inside edge of your right foot, come up onto the left knee, send the hips forward, squeeze the glutes, squeeze the left glute particularly, open the heart, let the head fall back, and then gently come back down. Good, let's do 2 more of those. Wonderful, breathe in, open the body, exhale to come down. Lovely stuff. Let's do 1 more of these. Breathe in. And breathe out. Good job. Okay, come back to sit forwards. Bring both feet in towards you. Knees out wide to the sides. Just give the knees a little bob up and down. Lovely stuff. Before supporting the knees with both hands, bringing the knees back together and sliding the legs out straight in front of you. Untucking the flesh of your bottom, remaining seated on something if you need to be seated. And a couple of breaths in Paschimottanasana before we do some breathing, and then we'll come into Shavasana. So breathe in, bring the arms up, press the backs of the knees into the floor. Now remember, for Paschimottanasana, you can bend your knees if you need to. As you exhale, lower the arms to shoulder height, just like before. Draw the navel in here. As you reach forwards, go as far as you can, bringing the hands down towards the feet if you can. Shins, ankles, leggings is fine if you can't. So see if you can press the backs of the knees into the floor, lengthening the tailbone out behind you some more if you want to. Think about your feet here, just like for Tadasana, all 4 corners of your feet press away, and then think about lifting the inside and the outside of the ankles, so you're not collapsing into any joints, there's activity, so you're trying to grow the legs long even though you're folding forward. Chin towards the chest, and if you want, you can look towards the navel here, okay? So it's the ultimate kind of folding in, gathering in, so that you're not influenced by all of the external goings on around you. You're starting to shut off the senses, quieten the nervous system from stimulus. That's really nice, well done. Take 1 more breath here. And then as you inhale, slowly unwind, lift yourself up, sit up nice and tall, bring the hands slightly behind you, lean back and lift the chest, squeeze the shoulder blades together. Good. And then you can bring yourself back to an upright position. Okay, so we're going to do a little breathing, a little pranayama, which is going to be very, very soothing for you just before you go to bed tonight. You might want to sit, you can do this lying down if you want. So if you want to lie down in the same position as that in which we began, then go for it with that little bit of lift to the chest, a little bit of openness, just so that it maintains your state of awareness. I don't want you drifting off into sleep, lying flat on your back on your yoga mat. If you want, you can sit on your brick, so just nestle it in between the heels so that you've got something to rest on if you're happy in a kneeling position. Or you could choose another seated position, or even sit in a chair, as long as it's an upright chair rather than a sofa, okay? So I'm in a kind of modified Virasana, modified hero pose, but you are welcome to lay down as long as you are propped up. And just resting your hands somewhere, resting them in your lap. A nice one that I use quite a lot. So you could take, you could do your thumb and index finger like an OK sign. If the hands are turned down, That's Chin Mudra. Okay, so Chin is you containing your energy, you with not withholding it, but just maintaining it within you. If you're feeling kind of generous and like you need to release a bit of energy, then the palms turned upwards, thumb and finger touches, Jnana Mudra. Okay. Some people do one with one hand and one with the other. It depends which is your dominant hand or which hand you feel drawn to. Another nice hand gesture is to rest one palm in sort of the kind of finger creases of the other, and then to touch the thumbs together. So you've got, I don't know whether you can, yeah, you should be able to see that. It is said, so feminine side is the left, masculine side is the right. So it depends what is more dominant for you today, if you're aware of those. But often people say that you should put your dominant hand, so generally the hand you write with, on top. Okay, and the thumbs just lightly touching. Close your eyes. Breathe in and out. And this time you're just breathing in and out through your nose. We're not worried about Ujjayi breath or fogging up the glass in front of your face. Although if that is a familiar breath for you, then feel free to continue with it. And familiar breathing practice for most of you, we're going to breathe in for a count of 4 and breathe out for a count of 8. Feel free to adjust these numbers should you need to. And remember, the golden rule is to never have a fight with the breath. See if you can maintain a continuous and steady flow to your breathing. So breathing in for 1, 2, 3, 4. And out for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Pause, breathing in, 2, 3, 4. See if you can pause naturally. Remember, no strain, no force. If you want to leave the pause out, that's okay. Exhale for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And carry on at your own pace. See if you can maintain a steadiness, a rhythm that suits you and where you need to be tonight. I'm going to continue this for 5 more rounds. So I'll catch up with you when we're done. Make this your last round. When you finish the exhalation to come, return your breathing to normal, please. And then we will take a very brief Shavasana just to settle and to ease the body. So if you are lying propped, then you might want to take those props out and feel the benefit of lying out flat. If you've been sitting, then you can unravel the legs. Maybe put a layer on if you're starting to notice your body temperature is dropping. Bring yourself down to lie. You could maybe lie with your knees bent with your hands on your belly for constructive rest pose rather than a full Shavasana if you're feeling a bit sleepy and you're worried you might nod off. So this is your alternative. But if you are able to lie out flat, then take your feet wider than your hips, let your toes fall out, arms away from the sides, and we'll just spend a couple of minutes in a final resting position as we allow our body to assimilate all the beautiful effects of our practice. And we bring the practice to a close. It's like we are ending a little chapter. Shavasana means corpse pose. So this is like a mini conclusion, okay, a mini ending. And in this mini ending, the body recalibrates, it brings everything back into a steady central place. And so that when you're ready to unearth yourself from Shavasana, when you're ready to bring yourself back into the world, you do it from a fresh place. It's as though a new start has occurred every time we take our yoga practice, every time we practice asana, and we end with Shavasana. So I'll leave you alone to breathe and to settle and to relax for the next 2 or 3 minutes. So let's start to take some deeper breaths and bring your awareness back into the room that you were in. Breathe right down into your fingers and toes and start to move them around gently. Maybe turn your head from side to side. Okay. When you're ready, you can take a stretch out if you need to. And begin to think about bending your knees and rolling yourself over to one side as you come round and up to sit. So take your time. Lovely stuff. Well done, everyone. So come up to sit when you're ready. Find a comfortable seat. Sit on a block or a blanket if you need to. Good. Okay. Taking your fingers to the floor next to you, let's end together by breathing in and bringing the arms up. Breathing out and bringing the hands down. Letting the hands rest in front of your heart. Or if necessary, you might like this as an alternative. You could rest one hand on your heart, one hand on your tummy. Close your eyes, let your shoulders relax. Let your chin drop towards your chest slightly. And breathe in and out. And we'll just do this together to bring the practice to a close. So I want you to take your biggest breath in now. We'll all breathe together, breathing in. And then your loveliest, biggest breath out. Let's do it again. Breathe in. Lovely. Gently open your eyes. Bring your palms together. Take one more breath in together with me. Well done. We'll finish with Namaste. Superb. Good job. Well done on your practice tonight, everybody. Super hard work.